All right, you have a primary source on Monday and 1 through 20. Then on Tuesday, you have a quiz on any of the words, and we're doing our last lecture. And then Wednesday, you have a test. And we are going through Focus Math Primary. Now, week 9 is turning out to be a very lovely week because I just finished it. So, how are we doing out there? My honors kids are telling me that you collectively, not you individually, are just miserable human beings. Is that true?
Yeah.
Isn't it a little bit better this week?
Next quarter will hopefully be easier.
Yeah, I mean, second quarter is going to be significantly easier because, ladies and gentlemen, there's only two things you haven't seen. You haven't seen an LEQ and you haven't seen a DBQ. Those are the only things you haven't seen for the rest of the year. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Ooh. There's no projects, there's no pop-ups, there's literally, this is the pattern and that's it. There's no surprises. Isn't that kind of nice?
Yeah.
At least it's consistent.
Huh?
At least it's consistent.
Yeah, it is, if nothing, consistent. So, are we doing okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to get easier.
It's still going to be exhausting.
Oh, yeah. You're the idiots who signed up for this.
It's not the
Still.
difficulty, it's the
It's
not the difficulty, it's the actual.
It's the focuses, but doing those, grinding those focuses.
I'm a big procrastinator.
When do you do
Me
it,
too.
Parker?
At first I do like all Tuesday night, but now I do Sunday and then Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, isn't that better? Don't
It's
you feel
better,
better?
but I'd rather be sleeping.
Well, yes, darling, that is the key. But if you just spend a couple hours on Sunday doing it,
But like the 8-page one,
okay, but you got 50 points for it, and how often does that happen, Parker?
not a lot.
Exactly. And this week, it's really simple. Goes really quick. Next week is even shorter. So maybe we can be friends? Slightly friends? Okay. At least this stuff's cool. And if it makes you feel better, I'm miserable with you. No?
That's one thing I've actually noticed. She said you have to do.
I'm sitting there doing it. Like I sit every night for 2 hours working on it, if that makes you feel better. Last night I spent 2 hours working on a test for you for this week.
You don't have to do that.
And you can just give us the
So, but that's fun. I'll be working tonight for you. Here we go. Age of Exploration. I love this stuff. This stuff I think is really cool. And it's starting to shape the world we actually live in. Isn't that neat? Like why people speak the way they speak, how they interact, all of those things are coming out of this week. And that's cool. So the Age of Exploration is based on 3 major things. First thing is country rivalries. Okay? It is all about the rivalries. Countries hate other countries. Like who would you say our biggest nemesis is? I'd say Russia, right? China's coming up real hot though. So maybe it's even China. Anyway, those are our 2 big rivalries. So we hate China, we hate Russia, and they hate us just the same, so it's fine. Okay? But back then, the major rivalry, anyone know who the major rivalry is? Joseph?
Britain, France.
No, because they're not the main powers yet.
The Ottomans and Safavids.
Oh no, I'm talking like Europe, because the Age of Exploration is focusing on Europe, because the Safavids and all that stuff, they don't need to do any exploration, because they're already making so much money, they don't really need it. What do you got? Scott. Portugal and Spain are your 2 major rivalries, which we're going to get into a ton of stuff. So, Portugal and Spain are your 2 major country rivals that are really going to be pushing this. The second thing, it is a unified hatred of Italy. Italy. Why does everyone in Europe hate Italy? Come on now. Andrew.
They're rich.
Why are they rich, Andrew?
They trade the most.
Andrew, you are killing me with just lack of information here.
They have the Mediterranean.
No, help him out, Chris. Okay, why?
Because they're in between.
Kind of, you're not right, but you're not wrong either. Izzy, help me.
The Muslims would be trading with the Italians, and so on the
In what trade? What trade route?
Trans-Saharan.
No.
Silk Road.
Yes. Okay, so sometimes my heart hurts, and this would be an example of my heart hurting. Yeah, it hurts. Okay, you need to know, everyone hates the Italians because the Italians are making crazy money off the Silk Road. There are 2 major groups of people who are making money off the Silk Road. Those are the Italians and the Muslims. The Muslims are carrying it across the land. The Italians are the ones who are picking it up in the Holy Land and turning it around and selling it at crazy exorbitant prices to the Europeans, yes? So everyone universally hates the Italians because the Italians are price gouging them, okay? Think about it. The Renaissance has already happened. We already covered it last week, yes? Okay? Where was most of that happening? Italy. Why? They have the most money. Look at how decadent Italy is in comparison to the rest of the world at this time, okay? That everyone hates it because they're just pissing away all their money on art and architecture and all that stuff with the money the Europeans are handing them. So everyone hates them and they're like, screw you, Italy, we're going to cut you out. And guess what they do? They cut them out. And that's why Italy has one of the worst economies in Europe today, okay? It's based entirely off tourism and lemons. And tomatoes. They do have a good tomato crop there. That's pretty much it. No, the actually largest producer of pasta is the United States.
What?
Yeah, we produce more pasta than Italy. Well, we have a larger country than Italy, and Americans like pasta.
Yeah, isn't it?
And we have a huge Italian-American population here.
Isn't
So
it
in the
size of
19...
Florida
Huh?
or something? Like Italy?
I don't know the comparisons, but it would make a lot of sense if it was. Okay, and your third component is Catholics versus Protestants. Dun, dun, dun. You didn't think the Protestant Reformation was all done. So this is the three major motivations of the Age of Exploration. We have country rivalries. We have everyone hates Italy and Protestant versus Catholic. Those are your major motivations behind it. So when we talk about the Age of Exploration, we have to start with our first major country of Portugal. Everything starts with Portugal. You need to know they are your first maritime empire. And it is all based on Prince Henry the Navigator. Mind your way.
A little bit.
Ugh,
Sorry.
is that better?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Okay, so Prince Henry the Navigator is the big deal. What does he do? Come on, talk to me. I know it's Friday and you don't want to be here, and I don't want to be here either. My husband took the day off, and he's been taking pictures of him just like maxing and relaxing and going to the pool. And I'm here. Taylor. Okay, yeah, so he's going to do that. But more importantly, he starts his navigation school. You need to know that. He brings together the greatest minds in shipbuilding, captains of ships, sailors, map makers, and he puts them all in the same room and says, figure it out. So, the smartest people in the world are all in one room together. Okay? This school, okay, the navigation school, is going to produce people like Christopher Columbus, Vasco Da Gama, Bartholomew Diaz, John Cabot. All of your greatest explorers are coming out of Prince Henry's navigation school. That's pretty damn transformative, can we agree? So, it is like the perfect seismic event. All of these people are brought together, they work out and solve problems, and they make caravels incredibly effective and fast and can endure these oceanic travels. So, it is because of Prince Henry's navigation school that he organizes and facilitates. It's going to bring the greatest minds together to get them set up and ready to go. Alright. So, your first major explorer is Bartholomew Diaz. Now, the really funny thing about this whole day is that, and this may be more information than you need to know about Miss Bennett, but my whole family flew to Cape Town, South Africa today.
Oh.
Like, literally today. Like, an hour ago they got off the plane. Yeah, it's a 15-hour flight. Huh? So my brother's getting married in Cape Town, South Africa. Like, next Friday. Like, in a week. So they flew there today for the wedding.
How many hours was that flight?
It's a 15-hour flight. Yeah.
Oh.
So, it's just so funny that I'm teaching Cape Town when my family, like, just arrived. Like, literally.
Are you going to the wedding?
No. It's a pandemic. And, like, no. And your girl took a year off work last year. Do you think I have to sink it? And I got Henry, and I'm not taking Hank to South Africa, which has been hit the hardest by the pandemic. Anyway, okay. So, fun fact, my whole family just landed in Cape Town, and today I've been talking about Cape Town all day. It's very bizarre. Anyway, I did not plan it to be this way. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, so Portugal is over here. If you look in the very front, Portugal is here, and Cape Town is way down here at the southern tip. The Cape of Good Hope is at the very tip of Africa. The reason is because right here is Antarctica. The wind's coming off Antarctica. Antarctica's pretty flat, we get that, yeah? There's some mountains and glacial things and stuff like that, but it's pretty flat. So the wind coming off of Antarctica is super, super sharp, very brisk, and has really no deflection. So it's going to come very, very strong up against the base of Africa. Now, the Cape of Good Hope, which is right here at the base of South Africa, is very, very rocky. They are not known for their beaches here. Because I know a lot of weird things about South Africa, more than a normal person. As you can tell, my family's there right now. With that being said, the beaches that they're known for in South Africa are on the Indian Ocean, which is over on this side. Down here, it's super rocky and very dangerous. So much so that ships still sink in this area. Because of how treacherous. There's essentially one narrow channel that you can get through. Okay, now we've expanded it as, you know, our technology has allowed us, but if you get outside that channel, your ship is sunk real quick. So, if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna crash your ship with the winds coming off the Arctic and the super jagged coast and the very small, deep channel that allows ships to go through. So, the first person to get around the Cape of Good Hope is Bartholomew Diaz. Now, as Bartholomew Diaz is going around the coast of Africa, he pulls into these ports and says, oh, I'll claim this for Portugal. So he puts his little flag down and says, Portugal. Okay? Now, it is important for me that you understand that the Africans are not allowing this. They are protesting this, but they just put it on a map and that's how things are. Does that make sense? Like, don't think the Africans are like, oh yeah, sure, cool. However, at the same note, are the Africans using the ports in big ways, like with big massive ships? No, they're not. The Africans, keep in mind, they don't have a ton of food, right? We don't have a lot of subsistence farming. So we don't have huge populations. So there's a lot of other things going on in place. So every time the Portuguese pull into a port, they call it theirs. Now, the second guy to actually complete it is Vasco Da Gama, and he is super important.
Why would they protest if they're not going to be able
Because
to
no one. No, hi, if I stood out in the front of your house on the sidewalk and put up a structure that you hated looking at, what would you do?
take it down?
They're gonna, exactly. You're gonna protest too. Okay. So Vasco Da Gama is going to be the first person to go around the Cape of Good Hope, and he makes it all the way to Calcutta. You need to know that. Okay. So there are three big things that you need to know about Vasco Da Gama. He is the first white person to sail all the way into the Indian Ocean basin. Okay, he is the first. So he opens up Indian Ocean basin trade to Europe. Okay, second thing, you need to know that with the success of his voyage, Portugal will now put a tax on anyone using Portuguese ports along Africa. Why is that a big deal? Why is that a big deal, Henry?
Because you either pay taxes to the Italians or you pay taxes to the Portuguese.
There you go. And what is everyone trying to avoid? Taxes. So now all of a sudden the Portuguese control the entire right. Look at how many ports they have, guys. Okay, look at all the ports they have. Okay, so can you really sail around Africa without stopping in a Portuguese port? No, so who's making crazy money off of this? The Portuguese are making crazy money off of this. Because even if you're a French ship and you're like, oh, I can sail around the tip of Africa, you have to pay crazy amounts of port fees in order to get there, and that cuts into your profits. And that really pisses off people. Okay, Catherine?
So was the first guy or the second guy like one that rounded the Cape of Good Hope?
Okay, he gets around the Cape of Good Hope. He makes it into the Indian Ocean basin. He's like, yeah, I did it. And then he goes back home. And then Vasco Da Gama is like, oh, I got this. Like, hold my beer. And then he goes all the way around and then goes all the way to Calcutta. Okay. You need to know, the third thing you need to know about the importance of this journey is that Vasco Da Gama's trip will be paid 250 times by the supplies he picks up in India.
He said.
Vasco Da Gama's trip will be paid 250 times by the one load. Yeah. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, is it easier to sail a ship or use a caravan? You can carry way more stuff in a ship, and it is actually, it will eventually become a little bit faster once they figure it out. But you can carry so much more stuff. It is way more profitable to sail a ship than to do a caravan across the continent of Asia. Yes?
How long does it take to go across the entirety of Africa?
Like go around the Horn? Go around the base and all the way to the Horn? It took Vasco Da Gama on his first trip like a year and a half. But once they kind of figure it out and streamline the system, you can do it in about like 10 months, I think. Now keep in mind, as soon as you get there, you're usually not just filling up your ship right away. You usually stay for like a month or two to give the sailors a little bit of a break, clean the ship and stuff like that, and go back. What do you got?
Did they have like pirates?
Oh yeah, this is prime time for pirates, for sure. Okay, so for the first time, it is more profitable to take a ship to the Indian Ocean basin than to pay anywhere else, and that's a big deal. So Portugal is going to control all of these ports along the coast of Africa. Well, we were talking about rivalries, ladies, and who do the Portuguese hate the most? Spain. Welcome to Spain. They are your second maritime empire. Excuse me. So, everyone universally hates the Italians, correct? Okay? The Italians have screwed them out of so much money and they're tired of watching them piss it away on paintings. So, everyone's trying to cut the Italians out. So the Portuguese are the first ones to do it, and they're the ones coming up with all this stuff. Well, their main rivals and the people who hate the Portuguese the most are the Spanish. Well, the Portuguese hate the Spanish just as much, and so they jacked up the prices. If you're a Spanish ship, you pay almost twice as much in every one of the ports. That's how much they hate each other. So with that being said, the Spanish are going to say, screw you, Portugal. I'm going to do what I want. So, a wackadoodle called Christopher Columbus walks up to the Spanish king and queen and say, hey, how about we go west to go east? Okay? And that is Christopher Columbus. So, you need to know, Spain. Christopher Columbus. He is going to speak to Ferdinand and Isabella. You need to know their names. Okay? Ferdinand and Isabella are tired of giving their rival, Portugal, money. So they are desperate to come up with a solution that cuts Portugal out. So, by sailing west to go east, cuts Portugal out. So that's why they give money to a guy named Christopher Columbus. It is really important that you understand, everyone knew the world was round. Everyone knew. Everyone knows the world is round. They just didn't know how long it would take exactly to get to land. They didn't know if they could put enough supplies, because when you fill up a ship, you can't just pack it full with tons of food and tons of water, because that weighs you down, and if you get into a thunderstorm or a hurricane or something like that, you're going to flip. Yes? So there's a real balance to it. So they didn't know if they could put enough food and water to get to land. So that was the gamble. Can you make it? That's what Christopher Columbus was willing to do. So, in 1492, and you absolutely need to know that date, he is going to sail across the ocean blue. And he is going to land on Hispaniola. Okay? He's going to land on Hispaniola. You do need to know that. Okay? And he's going to settle it. You do need to know it's considered a disappointment. Okay? They do claim this land, of course, for Spain, but overall it's considered a disappointment. Why is it a disappointment? Why is it a disappointment, Sophia?
Because they didn't make it to the destination.
Yeah, they didn't make it to the Indian Ocean basin. Miss Bennett. he's considered a disappointment because they were hoping he was going to show up in Calcutta. Because when Vasco Da Gama showed up in Calcutta, they literally had all the spices and stuff on the gangways to the ships. All you had to do was get there and pick up and put it in. When they got to the Americas, were the Native Americans ready for them? No, they didn't want them. They didn't know they even existed because of the isolation. With that being said, the wealth of the Americas is something you have to kind of invest in, correct? You got to grow, you got to harvest, you got to do all that stuff. So the king and queen of Spain were really kind of disappointed. So Christopher Columbus dies broke, drunk, and alone. Like, no one cares about Christopher Columbus. Like, he's seen as kind of a disappointment. He does 3 whole tours over there, trying to figure out a way to get to the Indian Ocean Basin because that's where the genuine wealth is at that time, right? It's already in packages. You just pick it up, put it on your ship, and you can sell it. So Christopher Columbus is a disappointment. Okay, something else you do need to know, though, is that Ferdinand and Isabella, who are the ones who sent Christopher Columbus, are also going to eradicate all the Muslims out of Spain at this time, too. So, does anyone know what year they do it? It's a very important year and easy to remember. 1492, the same year they sent Christopher Columbus, they eradicate all the Muslims out of Spain. Big year in Spanish history. And if you were wondering when is the best time to be Spanish? Now. This is the best time. This is the golden age of Spain, by the way. We're going to go into it. They only are in superpower for only about 110, 120 years, and this is it, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're of Spanish descent, this is your time to shine. So, Christopher Columbus, 1492, you need to know the eradication. It takes 900 years to kick the Muslims out of Spain, by the way. So you may want to make note of that. Okay, the next dude from Spain is Hernan Magellan. Okay, he is the first to circumnavigate the globe. He is the first to circumnavigate the globe, even though he dies like a little more than halfway through. Okay, now it is important that you know that to circumnavigate, he goes around the Cape Horn, is the southern tip of South America. It's called Cape Horn. So he goes around Cape Horn and then cuts over and goes around. So he navigates all of the territory around South America through the open Pacific, really. And then he dies in the islands over here. And these islands are known territories, which is why he gets to say he circumnavigated, when in fact he really didn't. But he went from all the known to unknown to known. So they give him credit for it. Treaty of Tortoise is one of my favorites. Don't you find this a little interesting?
Yeah. Better than the Navigator.
I love the Treaty of Tortoise. So you're going to get more information than you may want, but you're getting it anyway. Okay, Treaty of Tortoise. It is between Spain and Portugal. And it is because of their rivalry. And I love their rivalry so much. I love the pettiness. So, the first maritime empire is who? Portugal. So the Portuguese rise really quickly, but they also fall really quickly. So as the Portuguese are falling, who is rising? Spain. Now, Columbus's discovery of the Americas is not welcome to much fanfare or anything like that. However, eventually they realize there's gold there. And gold is a major source of income, of course, around the world still to this day. No one's surprised by that. With that being said, the Spanish are going to figure out really quickly that they can start mining gold in a major way. So what they're going to do is start printing gold, making gold bricks and sending it back to Spain. Well, Spanish are rising, the Portuguese are falling, and who hates the Spanish more than anyone? Portuguese. And this is how their pettiness just warms my heart. Well, instead of allowing their rival, the people they hate more than anything, the Spanish, to have the gold, they decide it's too hard to steal it. You know, like get on the ships, like conquer the ship, capture the ship, climb on the ship, fight them to the death, and then take the gold. That's really hard to do. So they're just like, screw it. We'll just sink the ships. So they would rather sink shiploads of gold to the bottom of the sea for no one to ever see again than to allow the Spanish to have the gold. Isn't that amazing? Could you imagine how petty it is? Like, they literally just circle the Spanish galleons and just fire cannonballs at them and just watch them sink. And they wave at them and be like, bye-bye, and they all die.
Can they just go pick up the gold?
No, gold goes straight down, dude.
So it's the Portugal sinking the Spanish?
The Portuguese are sinking the Spanish. They can't catch the ships in a one-on-one fight, so they gang up and they sink the ships. So today, there's still Spanish galleons that are on the base, on the floor of the Atlantic, that if you discover them, it's a finder's keeper's fee. It's yours. And there's tons of them that we haven't figured out where they are. Some got lost at sea and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a bunch of them down there. Every once in a while, you find, you see on the news, someone found a ship and it has like, $400 million worth of gold bricks on it and stuff like that. It's like wild. Well, anyway, you guys, none of this interests you?
No, it does.
That was cool.
Okay. Could you imagine that pettiness? You would rather sink the ship than let anyone touch that gold? It's amazing. Joseph.
Why don't they just straight up go to war?
Huh?
Why don't they just straight up go to war with each other?
They are. And that's what they're trying to do. But they're still trying to pull out the gold, right? Because that's how they're going to pay for the war, is by pulling out that gold. So the Portuguese, they're both small countries. Keep that in mind. So they don't have the huge population. And the only thing the Portuguese can really do is sink their ships. So they're just investing in that. Now, keep in mind, these are two Catholic countries. You're going to want to write that down. These are two Catholic countries going to war with each other. Okay, so if two Catholic countries are going to war, who's dying? Catholics. Okay, this is post-Protestant Reformation, so there's not a lot of Catholics left in Europe. Is this a good look or a bad look? Bad look. So the Pope gets involved, and you need to know that. The Pope gets involved to stop the killing of two Catholic nations killing each other. Okay, so in order, because of the Protestant Reformation, the Catholic Church is desperate to keep all Catholics, and two of the most powerful Catholic nations in the world are killing each other. Not a good look. So the Pope gets involved, and he divides the world in half. And you need to know this. This is a big deal. He divides the world in half. The old world goes to Portugal. Old world goes to Portugal. That means Portugal can keep its African ports. It can keep its Indian Ocean basin ports. Okay? However, they're not supposed to have any connection with the New World. Except for Brazil. And why do we know Brazil is a Portuguese colony? They speak Portuguese. When in doubt, ladies and gentlemen, whatever their language is a pretty good indicator of what country controlled them during the colonial age. Okay? So, why does the Portuguese get to keep Brazil? It's because A, they had already a ton of colonies there, and keep in mind, Brazil is going to become a massive powerhouse for Brazil. Okay? So, with that being said, Brazil gets to keep the Old World, Africa, and Indian Ocean, as well as only Brazil. The Spanish get the New World. They get everything except Brazil. What?
Like, by Brazil, do you mean like just the colonies they had there, or like the modern border of Brazil?
They get, it's pretty similar to the modern, because they claim it. If they go out and put a flag on it, it's technically theirs beyond as the map goes, extends. So as it kind of more shapes out, then it'll be more fine-tuned. Okay? So ladies and gentlemen, who is going to win on this? Spain is going to benefit the most from it, and it's important to know. However, it does open the door for England, France, and the Dutch to begin trading in a major way worldwide. That is a huge deal because the Portuguese are declining, the Spanish are rising, but the Spanish are not allowed to interact with the old world, and that's a big deal.
Wait, what's the door open?
English, French, Dutch. Because the Dutch are now going to move into the Indian Ocean basin and are going to make crazy amounts of money. Like, they're going to be the only ones trading with Japan here very shortly.
I don't know if that'd be like a stupid question, but like, why does like the Pope really have that say where he can split?
Because people listen to him. If no one listens to him, then he has no power. But if everyone listens to him, then he has power.
A lot of people listen to him.
because he's like the leader of the church. By then, in this time, people are still super religious, so people care. Today, we're less religious, so the Pope can say whatever he wants. Most people don't care. What?
So all that stuff you just talked about goes back to the treaty.
Yeah, it is the treaty. It's
So
the
the treaty
division
was
of the
the
world.
splitting of
Yeah.
the world.
The Treaty of Tortoise
And
is
all
the
like
division.
the sinking ships, all that just led up to it.
Yep. So all the sinking of the ship, the rivalry between Spain and Portugal is what causes the Treaty of Tordesillas, and that's what divides the world. So think about how many countries could have been speaking Portuguese. We could have been speaking Portuguese. The Portuguese had big ideas of heading north.
We're like silently soaking in information.
To the whiteboards. Parker looks bored, so I gotta entertain him. Even though with my enchanting instruction was not enough. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Please tell me who is going to jumpstart the age of exploration with the facilitation of a think tank. Good, I got 1. 2, Micah. Prince Henry, on your whiteboard, please tell me what is my first naval power, maritime power. Who is my first maritime power? Good. Who we got, James? Portugal. Who's my second maritime power? Good. Who do we got, Scott? Who is my third maritime power? I haven't talked about them, but they're coming. They're coming. Virginia. English are coming. Okay. On your whiteboard, what do we call the division of the world between the Spanish and the Portuguese? What is it, Sophia?
Treaty of Tordesillas.
Perfect. Treaty of Tordesillas. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the first dude to make it all the way to Calcutta, India?
I know.
Good. Who is it, Andrew?
Vasco Da Gama.
Who's the first guy to sail around the world? Technically. I mean, it's kind of anticlimactic. Good. Joseph. Virgin Magellan. On your whiteboard, who's the first guy to make it around the Cape of Good Hope and be like, oh shit, gotta go back? Good. Scott. Bartholomew Diaz. Alright, here we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is really important that you understand. Alright, we're still in Spanish, yeah? Perfect. Okay, so let's talk about Spanish in the New World. Okay, you have a conquistador. What does conquistador mean in English? Conqueror, yeah. They're the ones who are actually conquering the land. Okay, so the Spanish are going to eventually realize, hey, this is pretty good. We should probably do something about this. So they send conquistadors to conquer the land in the name of Spain. So the first one is Hernan Cortez. You absolutely need to know his name. He is going to conquer the Aztecs. What?
Is he the guy from that primary we did?
Yes. Yeah, he's the guy who goes and, yeah, he's absolutely the guy who does the list of like 1,000 items. Yeah. Okay? Hernan Cortez is the guy who conquers the Aztecs. He is also one of the most disgusting human beings on the face of the planet. Just an atrocious human being. Okay. With that being said, you need to know that he defeats Montezuma. That is your last Aztec ruler. You need to know both. Okay. It is important to me that you understand that the Aztecs put up a hell of a fight. Okay? The Spanish are showing up with iron guns, iron protection. They're coming in with all of these diseases. Okay? The decks were stacked for the Spanish against the Aztecs. But the Aztecs are going to fight for 3 years, 2 years. They're going to fight like hell. And they're almost going to beat the Spanish. They almost beat the Spanish. That is how close it got. So, it is important to me that you understand that the Aztecs and everyone else in the Americas and in Africa are fighting like hell against these Europeans. Okay? They're not going to win, but they're going to fight like hell. The Aztecs are going to lose, and that is sad, and it's going to destroy a lot of the cultural foundation of essentially Central Mexico. However, more of a 2000 thing. Mexico is trying to revive the Aztec ideal. Isn't that wonderful? trying to bring back the heritage and stuff like that was lost because of the Spanish. So pretty cool. Anyway, so you do need to know, because the Aztecs put up such a fight, the Spanish are going to be incredibly harsh. Kind of like the Mongols, yeah? The more of a fight you put, the more destruction. And they are going to completely and utterly eradicate all Aztec symbols. They completely dismantle the Aztec temples. Okay? All of Tea City is going to be completely destroyed to show the power and really break the spirits of these people. Miss Bennett? Yes. Thank you. Taylor, you're out. Okay, so it is really important. Goodbye. Isn't this cool?
So this is one of the better lectures we've had.
Aw, got a kid. What the hell is happening out here?
Thank you, Miss Bennett.
Oh, my pleasure.